Looking for a fun, exciting podcast, hot topics, and great guests? Don't go anywhere. You're in the right place. The Brian and Sherri Show. Your hosts, Brian and Sherri.
Hello, everyone. Brian here, and unfortunately, the intro is a little wrong because Sherri is not with us. Unfortunately, she is on personal business. Good business, by the way. So sitting in for Sherri is one of our returning guests, another author, Daniel Payton. So he's joining us.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm a Sherri for today, but
yes,
call me Daniel.
Yes. And the other good thing is that it's also Sherri's birthday today. So a big shout out to Sherri. Happy birthday. I hope your
happy birthday.
Day is going very well. And I get to see her tomorrow because tomorrow she's actually getting married. So it's a big weekend. So very exciting.
Hopefully her spouse will remember their anniversary by the birthday, or the birthday by the anniversary, but that will help the memory go.
I think that's why she did it. I think that's why she chose. Yeah, I think that's why she chose. So, everyone knows I've posted it like absolutely everywhere that another one of our returning guests. She's been on 3 times. This will be her 4th time. This is actually your 4th time, 3rd, 4th.
This will be my 4th time on.
Yeah.
Here,
See, oh, look at that. Sylvia Schultz is with us, so we'll be talking to her in just a couple of minutes. I can't wait to talk to her. But we're not going to break tradition like Sherri does. We let everyone know what the national days are. So, and I think Daniel has what we're celebrating today. So what are we celebrating today?
Well, it's July 30th, so today we are celebrating National Cheesecake Day.
Oh, my favorite.
National Father-in-Law Day, and National Dance Day.
Yeah.
So have some cheesecake with your father-in-law and then go dance it off.
There you go. I like cheesecake. I like my father-in-law. And I don't dance, so I don't care for that. But those are 3 good ones.
Well, it didn't say dance in public. So.
Okay. That's true. So, yeah. Very interesting. So... And if you're wondering, yes, we're live on Facebook, so you can either listen to the show by calling in, or you can go onto our Facebook, facebook.com/Brian.SherriShow, and watch us right there live on our wall, like Dan is, even though he can see me on Skype.
It's kind of discombobulating because one's behind the other, so...
Isn't it?
I'm working on it.
Yes. So yeah, don't you have some news?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you.
To add to today's news, I'm going to read the news to you. Our top stories today. Convicted hitman Jay McMahon confessed today that he was once hired to beat a cow to death in a rice field using only 2 porcelain figurines. Police admit this may be the first known case of knick-knack paddywhack. More details are coming in from the recent death of a beloved figure, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He died over Barcelona, Spain yesterday when he was hit by a flock of seagulls and a 747. Eyewitnesses report that the reindeer in Spain was hit mainly by the plane. And finally, a man is in critical condition after swallowing $150,000 in large bills. No change is expected. Back to you, Brian.
Very interesting. Poor Rudolph.
We all have to go sometime.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Oh, bother. So, yeah, but anyways. I hope most of our live watchers are going to be watching tonight, but then again, I don't think they are, only because most of those have to go to the wedding tomorrow, so I don't know. I hope. So the count keeps rising. So, but then again, I don't like this whole Facebook video thing, because right now it says that there's 2 people that are watching me. It was 3 a moment ago, but it says 2 now. But the problem is that that's only when people are joined in the conversation. So there could be 100 people watching it, and I don't know it until the very end of the video. I don't like how they do that.
Yeah, everybody get on there and say hi. Leave a comment. Ask a question. We'll see it.
Yes. Well, that does remind me. So if you have any questions for Sylvia Schultz tonight, make sure you put them up on the video. And I will ask them when I have the chance, when I am done chit-chatting with her. Which will probably be never, but you never know. We like chit-chatting, so. But yeah. It's weird not having Sherri here. No offense, Dan.
That's alright. It's weird for my first time as a co-host.
Yes. It was your idea.
Mm-hmm. I like to experience new things. Hey, as an author, I always tell people if you don't get out there and experience new things, then what do you have to write about?
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so, well, she needs no introduction because that's just the way it is, because she's been on here so many times. She's really not even a guest. She's more of a friend. So I'm going to bring on Sylvia Schultz and get this conversation rolling. So, yeah. Hi, Sylvia.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I am great. I am fantastic. And Daniel, very nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you. I always love talking to a new author or another author.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm bummed Sherri's not here, but my goodness, it's for a wonderful reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's where all your watchers are. They're partying with her on her birthday.
Well, the party was actually last night. So,
okay.
You know, and, yeah.
Oh, today's my sister's birthday, too, so.
Oh.
So she's got that time. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I am actually, you have more watchers than you know about, because right now I am actually at a family reunion. I am not in my office. I am at a family reunion.
Uh-oh.
And half of my relatives are watching right now, even as we speak. So, yes, you've got some more viewers.
Hello, half of Sylvia's family.
Yes, hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the way this usually works, the way this usually works is I'm usually coming to you from my office, and I'm sitting at my desk. I'll set the scene for you. I'm usually sitting at my desk, and my collection of dinosaurs is on my desk, just for moral support, you know. So I knew that I was going to be coming here and broadcasting from a different place. So I do have a couple of my dinosaurs with me, and they're here on the desk in front of me giving moral support. And I was going to broadcast from the tent that I'm sleeping in tonight. But the cicadas are so crazy loud that I decided to come indoors to broadcast instead.
Oh, okay.
Just so you could actually hear me over the cicadas. But I do have my dino buddies here, so things are kind of on an even keel.
Awesome. So what's been going on?
Oh, man. Have I got stories to share. Wow. Okay, so I got to give a shout-out to a couple of ghost hunting groups that joined me at the Pollock Hospital, at the Peoria State Hospital, earlier this month. We had Shadow Hunters out and ESP and Archer Paranormal. These three ghost hunting groups got together and did a road trip. And we were the last stop on their road trip, and they were with us for 2 solid nights. And, Brian, I've been at the Pollock Hospital 100 times, and I've been going there for several years, and I have never seen it this active.
Oh, my.
It was amazing. We were seeing apparitions walking past doorways. We got touched. We were hearing all sorts of EVPs, and it was just astounding. It was such a treat to be with these 3 serious ghost hunting teams and having these experiences. It was just phenomenal. And these guys are they're really professional. They know how to joke and laugh and have a good time and joke around, but at the same time, they are completely professional in their ghost hunting, and it was such a treat to work with them. And I want to tell your listeners that what we were doing there that weekend was Shadow Hunters was filming for a new YouTube series. So all you listeners out there in Electron Land, write this down. Go on Facebook or on YouTube, look up Shadow Hunters, and like them on YouTube, like them on Facebook, so that you can watch the very first episode of this new show that's coming out. The very first episode is going to be the Pollock Hospital, and it is going to rock your world. It is so much fun. First episode airs September 12th, so hop on there, like it, and watch it, because it's going to be a real treat.
Are you in this episode?
I am, yes, yes.
Okay.
Nick Sarlo is the leader of Shadow Hunters, one of the groups, and he and I met at Chicago Ghost Convention a couple years ago, and I did a presentation on the Peoria State Hospital, and he was in the audience, and he just fell in love with the place just by me talking about it. He said, I have to go there someday, and someday turned out to be this month, and he decided to tape the first episode of the show, and we got just astounding, huge amounts of evidence. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I'm going to tell you about one thing, because we didn't, the cameras were pointing somewhere else when this happened, so I think I'm safe telling you this particular story. So it was the second night, and I got there before dark, and we decided to go down into the morgue, where there's just a little bit of ambient light in the basement, so it's not completely dark. But we were down there. It was me and 3 other girls. And in order to do some triggering, this being a hospital, a couple of the ladies were dressed in white lab coats with stethoscopes around their necks. So we got down into the morgue, and we sat on the chairs down there, and we started filming with the camera pointed away from us, unfortunately. But we were sitting there doing EVP work and just being quiet and listening to the EVPs, and suddenly Lisa, who was sitting next to me, jumped like she'd been goosed. Scared the paste out of me, because I was sitting right next to her. And she goes, whoa, jumps out of her chair. I'm like, Lisa, what's wrong? Everyone's like, Lisa, what's wrong? Somebody had taken the stethoscope off from around her neck. I'm not even joking. I was there. It happened. It was amazing.
Creepy.
Something just picked up the end of the stethoscope and just gently tugged it off of her neck.
Wow.
And that was just only one thing that happened during that amazing weekend. So I'm not going to spoil anything else for you. Watch the show. It's gonna rock your socks.
I will definitely.
Sounds like.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It sounds like it. People should be very interested.
Oh yes. It's a very active place on a usual day, and it was especially active this weekend. And I'm so pleased that all the groups got such good evidence, and it was so much fun, and it was so astounding to capture all that evidence. So, Brian, I meant to mention that last time I was on the show, you and Sherri were kind enough to ask me what was going on with the Bowen building. There's more drama.
Oh, Jesus.
For your listeners that have been paying attention to the drama, the ongoing drama of the Bowen building, it is still standing. They were supposed to be tearing it down. The roof was supposed to come off by the beginning of June, and they haven't done it yet. Right now, as far as I know, they've been taking up the floorboards and selling them to the Amish. This is weird. this entire saga has just been nothing but weird. But yeah, they were supposed to be taking up the floorboards and selling them to the Amish. And some watchdog group got a hold of the people that were supposed to be doing this, were the former owners who really shouldn't have had anything to do with it. Yeah, I've had that conversation before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah, and so this watchdog group said, so how much have you made to be able to pay the city back for this loan that you just got on the building? And the guy's like, well, I don't know. We haven't been keeping track. Yeah, they've been selling the boards from the building and not keeping track of where the money went.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
The mismanagement is just staggering. Yeah. So it's been, the demolition has been suspended, which is good.
Yes.
We still have the grand old lady here with us. But, yeah, it's just staggering the amount of underhandedness and mismanagement that's going on. It's just wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Now, for the listeners who may not know as much about ghost hunting as you and others, when you say something like EVP on here, could you explain?
Absolutely, yes. EVP stands for electronic voice phenomena. The theory is that if you have a recorder going and you're talking to thin air, yes, I know it sounds weird, but if you're talking to thin air and you feel that there are spirits around that you might be able to communicate with, the theory is that the recorder is going to pick up not only your voice, but also any spirit voices that happen to respond to your questions. I have a wonderful story that I'm not sure I've told on this show before. Have I told you guys the story of the ghost fart?
No. I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, while we're on the subject of EVPs, we'll talk about the ghost fart. Friends of mine and I were in Macomb, Illinois, and taking a tour, and the first stop that we made was in a lovely little place on the square in Macomb, very, very haunted building, called the Little Stitches Sewing Shop. Try saying that 5 times fast. But we were racing around the building, just having a blast. The lights were completely out, just lights out, running around the building, having a wonderful time. So we were all gathered in the back hallway, that back room of this building. And everybody else had kind of wandered out. But my friend was still standing there, and the guide said, well, hold on a second, you two stay, because I think I heard some hangers rattling in the back of the room. So in this group, everybody had their job to do. Sherri is very good at taking still photographs, and Ursula does the video camera, and my job at that time was to do the recording. So I'm standing there next to Sherri, and Sherri's snapping madly away, and I've got my recorder in one hand, and I've got my flashlight, which is off, in the other hand, and I'm standing there recording, and Sherri's taking pictures, and all of a sudden, just to my left, I hear somebody fart. And it's not some pants-shredding blast or anything like that. It's this pretty polite little poof. Now, I have the sense of humor of a 10-year-old boy. So when I heard this, my first reaction was, please fart. So I'm like, okay, pull yourself together. Big bad ghost hunter. You're not just going to come unglued just because somebody farts. So we get done taking pictures. We decide to join the rest of the group. So I turn my flashlight on so we can find our way back, and just out of pure cussedness, I swing the flashlight over to the left to see who it was that cut the cheese. And that's when I realized that not only was nobody standing next to me, I was standing next to a solid wall where I'd heard the sound come from. And I said, oh, I think people need to know about this. So we rejoined the group, and I said, okay, I know everyone's going to laugh at me. I'm okay with that. But this is what I heard, and I described it. Everyone's rolling on the floor laughing. Oh, right, you heard a ghost fart, whatever. I am so sure. I said, no, I stand by my experience. This is what I heard. So that was a Saturday night. And we drove home from Macomb that night, and I gave the recorder to Gail, who was our sound person at the time. So Sunday morning, she sends me a text. And she goes, I found your ghost fart on the tape. And I said, I told you it was there. Sunday afternoon, she sends me an email. And now she's not laughing quite so hard. She goes, you have to listen to this. So she sends me 2 sound files. I open up the first sound file. I open up the second sound file. Hello? She had taken that little snippet of sound and slowed it down 300%. And that little noise that I heard was actually somebody saying hello. So we always joke now about the ghost fart. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, wow, I'll never be able to go back there again because now I know there's something there. But then I thought, this was a couple of years ago before I had been an investigator for very many years. And I thought to myself, here's somebody who wanted to communicate with us so badly that she made a noise not only that showed up on my recorder, but that I actually heard just on my own with my naked ear. And that made me feel a lot better that she was trying to communicate, not just trying to, scare me. So it was a really special experience.
I can sympathize with having a juvenile sense of humor if you happen to hear my news report. And I can also sympathize with the fact that sometimes when your humor and reality cross paths and you're trying to tell people, no, it's not a joke, I really did. And they're like, oh, that's great. Tell another one. I'm like, that's not what I meant. I can totally understand that. Especially as a fiction author. Yes.
Oh, yeah, because you're making stuff up all the time.
Yeah. Yes, I lie as a profession. People pay me to.
Yeah.
So I was reading in your bio.
Back to the Peoria State. What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, getting back to the Peoria State Hospital and the Bowen building, that actually spilled over into the situation with the new book. I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm going to let your listeners in on a little behind-the-scenes action here. I've got a new book coming out, which is why you guys invited me on the show again. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. So we had the book's done. It's sent off to the printer, and I'm really looking forward to it. We had put together a really smashing cover. And anybody who's gone on the Brian and Sherri Show Facebook page has seen this cover because you've been kind enough to post it. And you might not have noticed that the cover has actually changed from the first time we posted it. The first cover had the woman lying on the bed with the sheet over her, very, very moody, very atmospheric cover. Mm-hmm. Really, I love this cover. But the inset picture was a picture of the Bowen building. Now, this cover was released, and I have friends on the hilltop at the Peoria State Hospital that did not speak to me for a month after that cover came out. They were so mad that the cover artist had put a picture of the Bowen building on the cover. And all I said was, it's about the Peoria State Hospital, and they took that information and ran with it because the Bowen is the public face of the Peoria State Hospital. When people think of the hospital, of the asylum, that's the building they connect with, which is why it is such a crying shame that it's supposed to be demolished. But the fact that it was on the cover, the owner has such bad juju that simply the fact of that building being on the cover meant that other people on Hilltop didn't want to have anything to do with it. Yeah. So I had to go to the publisher and say, look, can we change this cover? And the picture that ended up on the cover, I'm very happy about it. The picture that ended up on the cover is actually of Dining Hall A, which is where Rhoda Derry passed away in 1906. So it fits. It's a wonderful addition to the cover, but it took a lot of hurting feelings to get that picture on the cover instead of the Bowen Building. And it's his poison has seeped into that hillside, that hilltop. And it's still pervasive, even though he's not owned the building technically for, 8 months now. Going on 8 months. So, yeah, sad situation.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You had a question, Dan?
Well, I was going to ask her. First, I was going to ask about the book itself. I was reading on your website about it, and you mentioned, this is about the figure, the central character, of course, is this Rhoda Derry and her story.
Yes.
And so, is this book more of a ghost story, or is this book more of a historical biography, or is it fiction? I mean, what would you classify it? How would you want to present this to your readers?
It is absolutely nonfiction. There's nothing made up in it.
Okay.
I call myself a writer of paranormal nonfiction. The story, 44 Years in Darkness, is nonfiction. The interesting thing about this particular story is that we on the hilltop, we who have been studying and loving the Peoria State Hospital for all these years, we know Rhoda Derry first as one of our resident spirits. What I wanted to do was introduce her to people as a human being before talking about her as a ghost. So I wanted to introduce her as a living, loving human being, because this is at its heart a love story that went terribly, terribly wrong. But it is at its heart a love story about two young people who really adored each other, and things just fell apart. So I wanted to present her as a person before a ghost. So in answer to your question, it is a ghost story. But first and foremost, it's about Rhoda's life and times.
Okay. So, and going on, I've read on your information that you studied history in college. That's your degree is in history.
Yeah.
Primarily, what path? My mother went to college for history, so I know when you say history, you don't just mean history in general. That there's a million different paths.
Right.
What was your direct path you took with that?
Well, my expertise was in classics, in Roman history, actually.
Oh, okay.
But I've loved all kinds of history all throughout my life. So going to college for classics and getting a master's degree in Roman history really prepared me to do a lot of research. That's the big takeaway I got out of my college and master's years, is knowing how to do research. By golly.
Oh, yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, it's yeah, you really learn that skill pretty quick. The interesting part of my master's career was the fact that I worked at the IRAD office, which is the Illinois Regional Archives Depository. And we used to joke about the interns there. All of us interns had jokes about, oh, hey, yeah, your idea of good dinner conversation is to talk about the police file photographs of crime scenes that pretty much every depository had a few crime scene photos. And we were like, hey, you want to see the crime scene photos? But the other thing that we had, of course, was records from all of these counties around. And I had no idea that however many decades on, I would be using this material. But one of the big project that I did as an intern in grad school was I went through the Logan County insane records, the conservators' records, and made a database out of them. Now, what this was back in the 19th century and the early 20th century, you didn't go to a psychiatrist to find out if you had to be put into an asylum. They didn't really have psychiatrists outside of the asylums. What happened was somebody else decided that you were insane, and they brought you into court. A sheriff actually came to your house, took you into custody along with a couple of doctors, physical doctors, and brought you into court. And there was a big court case to see if you had to be put into an asylum or not. So this was over 100 years of court records that I had to go through and put in, name, date, age, what they were being committed for, where they were sent, and a lot of these patients from Logan County actually ended up in Peoria County at the Peoria State Hospital. And it's funny how life works. I mean, I had no idea that years on down the road I was going to be writing a couple of books about this place. I love how life works.
Yeah, I know a few people I'd send to court and have them tried for insanity. And my mother, what she was going for was applied history, which was the reuse and adaptive reuse of historic buildings. So when Brian was telling me before the show about the Boeing building and what was going on, I thought to myself, this is right of what my mom would be there as a historian. She'd be the one going, okay, we're going to research it. Here's what it looked like. Here are the right materials. Don't do that. Take this off. I mean,
Yes.
I can't tell you how many historic houses
absolutely.
we look at and we see that they've got plastic or vinyl siding, and we're like, no, you take that off, you put wood. It's always something. So when he was talking about that, I'm like, wow, I know about that. I know all about that.
Uh-huh. Well, the interesting thing about the Bowen building, and you would probably find this very intriguing, the Bowen it's got great bones. The outside of the structure is pretty much perfect, except for the windows being broken out. But what has happened is, over the last 10 years or so, no work has been done on the roof. There are holes in the roof, and the rain has come in and disintegrated the floors.
Yeah.
Now, the fellow who is in charge of demolishing the building is actually also somebody who tries to restore buildings. And I believe it was his mother or grandmother that was actually a nurse at the Peoria State Hospital. So he went through the building with an eye towards how can we save her. And he looked and he said, the floors are just too far gone for us to save. We just can't do it at this point in time. And then later on, we decided, we looked at other buildings around the country, and we realized that particularly in Ohio, for some reason, there are buildings that they've been stripped out of everything inside, but the outside is still standing. And all they do is put a new roof on and leave the inside completely open and use it for things like concerts and weddings and gatherings like that. And we thought, oh my gosh, this would be perfect. And we went to Chad with this idea, and we said, why can't you do that with the Bowen? Why can't you repurpose it like that? And his answer was really heartbreaking. He said, there have been so many people that have looked at that building and said, oh, we can do this with it. We can turn it into a bed and breakfast. We can turn it into this. We can turn it into that. And then nothing happened. And I promised the city of Bartonville that I was going to demolish this building with respect, trying to reuse the materials. That's what I promised to do. I am not going to, at this point, turn around and say, oh, let's do something else. That's what I promised to do. That's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, we're just heartbroken about it.
If history has proven anything, is when you lose something, you can't just turn around and pick it back up. Yeah.
I know.
So that is a sad thing.
It's a gorgeous building.
That's it. That's something I have learned. Especially, Mom got her schoolwork done in Oklahoma, and that's where I'm from. And Oklahoma is just barely turned 100 years old, so we don't have really, really old structures. I moved out to East Tennessee, and I'm going to church in a building that is over 150 years old, and the church itself is 210 years old. So we're looking at architecture that's fantastic, and I'm like, wow, and they want to keep it. So it's I miss that, and that's something else, preserving what was done in the past, which we just don't do now. So
yeah. That's what I'm terrified of. I am really afraid that the city of Bartonville is going to take this building down and then turn around in 6 months and go, oh my gosh, this is, oh, okay. Somebody just came into the bedroom where I'm talking on the phone if they need something out of here. But yeah, I'm afraid the city of Bartonville is going to turn around in 6 months and say, oh my gosh, what did we do? We cannot get this back. Yep. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yep.
So, yeah. But Dining Hall A is still standing. So at least we have that. At least we have Rhoda's building left.
And the very least you can do is make sure there's really, really, really good historical photography done. Get some nice records made to see what was there. So. Yes.
I am lucky enough to work with somebody who is in charge of the museum there now, which is a wonderful, wonderful little place. It's actually in the first building that was ever built on the hilltop. It was the firehouse for a long while, and it's still standing, and it now houses the museum, the Peoria State Hospital Museum. And she has got thousands of pictures and thousands upon thousands of documents. So it's a real treat to have that resource right there.
Okay. Well, going back to your book, I am curious, what inspired you to particularly look at this character, this person of Rhoda Derry, for the book? Why this case over others? And, where did you start with this?
I am really glad you asked that, because it is an interesting story. I had written the book, Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital, and I was going around giving talks on that. I was invited to give a talk on it at the Prairie Land Paranormal Consortium meeting. They meet every month down in Springfield. And completely unbeknownst to me, the other guest for that day was Brandon Lamprecht, who is in charge of Realities and Films. And he had somebody else within that day. I just remember who it was. But it was Brandon and some other fellow from Realities End. So I got up, and it was a lovely summer afternoon, and I got up and did my presentation all about the history and the hauntings of the Peoria State Hospital. And we took a little bit of a break. And then Brandon got up and started talking about his projects. Now, Realities and Films did a 17-minute presentation on Bookbinder, on the most famous ghost to come out of the Peoria State Hospital. They did a story on Bookbinder about 17 minutes long. And while they were doing that, while they were putting together that project, they heard about Rhoda Derry's story. And Brandon was just so taken with this. And there's a really good reason for that, and you'll have to wait to read the book to find out what that is. But he was really entranced with Rhoda's story. So he decided that the next project he was going to do was going to be telling Rhoda's story. So they put together a teaser reel, which you can still watch on YouTube, and started this project. It is on indefinite hold right now because of a lot of very weird things that happened during filming. Brandon and his crew kind of got spooked by the whole thing and kind of suspended filming, and it is unknown at this point whether they will pick it back up. So I tell all those stories in the book too, so you'll find out all about that. But yeah, that's how Brandon and I were talking after that presentation, after I realized, holy cats, I ended up in a presentation with somebody who's working on the very same project that I am working on. How wonderful is this? So he and I got to talking after his presentation, and he said, wow, you know what, we've had so many weirdnesses going on during this filming. I would love for you to write a book just on these experiences we've had during this film, trying to get this film finished. And I thought, wow, that really would make a really cool book. And then I thought, well, why stop there? Why not simply tell Rhoda's story and give background to this failed project? Wouldn't it be more interesting to say how the movie came about and what's the story behind? Why did they want to do the movie so badly? What's the background? What's the story behind the movie? And that became 44 Years in Darkness. And it is one of the most wonderful privileges I have ever had in my life, is to be able to tell this story and to get it out to the world, because it is such a moving story and such an amazing journey that I'm really, really privileged to share it with the world. How much time do we have left? I'm wondering if I can tell Rhoda's story.
We have 18 minutes.
I don't remember if this is 18 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get your appetites whetted for 44 Years in Darkness. Rhoda Derry was born in 1834. She grew up in Adams County, Illinois, south of here by quite some miles. She was the youngest of 9 children, the baby of the family, maybe a little bit spoiled. So she grew up a farmer's daughter. And when she was 16 years old, she fell in love with the son of a neighboring farm family, also 16 years old. His name was Charles Phoenix. Now, the Phoenixes were rather well off, but the Derrys were very, very poor. They actually boarded with people throughout most of the time that I could find records of them. They were living in other people's houses. That's how poor they were. So Mrs. Phoenix, Nancy, Charles's mother, was not about to have her baby boy marry one of these dirt poor Derrys. So she was very much against the relationship. We don't know how far Charles and Rhoda's relationship went, but we do know that when they were both 18 in 1852, Charles asked Rhoda to marry him, and she said yes. Now, Nancy Phoenix was so upset about this that she confronted Rhoda in the street. And she said, if you do not release my son from this engagement, I will curse you. Now, talking about witchcraft in front of Rhoda Derry really would have gotten her attention quickly, because her grandmother, Moll Derry, was known as the fortune teller of the Revolution. Moll Derry actually fought in the Revolutionary War alongside her husband, Valentine. They were both Hessian soldiers. And after the war, they settled down in Pennsylvania, and Moll became a well-known practitioner of Pennsylvania Dutch hex magic. So, talking about witchcraft in front of Rhoda Derry really would have gotten her attention quickly. So a few weeks after this confrontation with Nancy Phoenix, Rhoda began acting very strangely. Her mental situation deteriorated very quickly. She would crouch in the cabin and scream that witches were after her, flying around the house. And her mother, Rachel, actually would keep a pistol in her apron pocket and shoot at the witches in the cabin to calm Rhoda down. I don't know how calming gunshots inside a cabin would have been, but she was savvy enough to realize that Rhoda was having these hallucinations and really upset by them. Rhoda was committed to the state hospital at Jacksonville for a couple of years and released as incurable. So she came back to her family, again, random weirdness happening with her. There's a family story that she came into her bedroom and hopped up on the bed and stood on her head and started spinning around like a top. And her brother, Jeremiah, said, "What are you doing? Get down from there." And Rhoda said, "I can't. They're holding me." So just really, really weird things going on with Rhoda Derry. Her family cared for her at home as long as they could, but in 1860, her mother, Rachel, died. Her father could no longer care for her, so he made the decision to commit her to the Adams County Almshouse. Now, Rhoda was a very violent patient. She had lost everything. She'd lost her fiancé. Charles was who knows where at this point. He just drops out of the record entirely. I can't find him. She had lost her mother. She had lost her family. She was in this almshouse, alone, bereft. She started to self-abuse. She clawed her own eyes out. She beat her front teeth in. She was such a violent patient that the superintendent of the almshouse gave the order for Rhoda to be put into something called a Utica crib. It's about 6 foot long, a couple of feet tall. It's designed for overnight use. Patients would be put in there to have a safe place to sleep, but it was never designed for use any longer than overnight. But Rhoda was such a violent patient that she was in this Utica crib for weeks and months at a time. When she was let out, she was cared for by other feeble-minded patients. After she had calmed down, after a couple of decades, she was moved to a box bed. Still couldn't keep clothes on her. She would rip her clothes off. They had to keep her in this box bed covered with a canvas sheet. She spent decades in this situation. Now, in 1902, the Peoria State Hospital was founded. The first superintendent was Dr. George Zeller, and he made it his mission. He considered it part of the mandate of the Peoria State Hospital to go around and not only provide help for the mentally ill, but to provide help for the mentally ill specifically from almshouses that were notorious for not treating the mentally ill well at all. In the worst case scenarios, they were treated no better than animals because people didn't think that the mentally ill could feel pain or heat or cold or hunger. So sometimes they were just kept in barns. So Dr. George Zeller made it his mission to go around to the almshouses of the state and to find the most wretched, helpless, abused cases and bring them to the Peoria State Hospital. He went to Adams County in 1904. He found Rhoda Derry there. He took one look at her and he said, "This patient is coming with me." Now, the superintendent of the almshouse didn't want to let Rhoda go because he figured that the almshouse was going to be blamed for her condition. Yeah. So the train from Quincy got in very late to Bartonville that night. There was a washout on the tracks. The train was delayed. It wasn't until about 1:30 in the morning that the train finally pulled into the station at the top of the hill.
Some of it is.
The patients were being transported on boxcars. So the nurses and the attendants got the phone call that the train had arrived. So they went to meet the train. And they escorted the patients off of the boxcars, and they went onto the car, and they noticed this great big wicker laundry basket at one end of the boxcar. And the attendants were like, "Yeah, I guess this is patient clothing. I guess this comes off too." So they humped this big laundry basket out of the boxcar, and they put it down on the landing, on the concrete pad of the train station. And as soon as they put it down, the lid popped open and the clothes parted. And there sat Rhoda, jabbering at people. She'd been carried in the basket because her hips had degenerated so much from being in the box for years that she couldn't sit in a chair for any length of time. And that night, for the first time in 44 years, Rhoda Derry slept in a bed with clean white sheets. The nurses treated her like a daughter. She became the daughter of the institution. They knew what an excruciating history she had, so they doted on her. As soon as she soiled the sheets, they whisked the sheets away and cleaned her up. They let her sit out in the sun, in the gardens, and feel the sun on her face and listen to the birds and smell the flowers that she could no longer see. They took her to dances so she could sit and clap her hands to the music. They treated her like a daughter. She's been through so much, but the last 2 years of her life were spent being cared for by attentive nurses. She died the day before she would have turned 72. She died October 9th, 1906. And she is buried right there on the hilltop. So she is still with us.
Mm. So that's pretty... Oh, shit.
So that's why I wanted to write. That's why I wanted to write about Rhoda Derry so badly.
Yeah. Because I remember you talking about her before when you were on the show. So I was very happy when you actually decided to make it into a book. So.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah. So, and I can't wait for my copy. I can't wait.
Your copy is coming as soon as I get the advanced copies. Your copy is coming.
Yes.
Yes, just make sure you send him a copy. Trust me.
Yes. I just got Dan's book in the mail yesterday, so.
Okay. And the book is still, speaking of getting copies, the book is still available for pre-order. And I know that you guys are going to have the link on your show page.
Yes.
So if people would like to follow the link to the Indiegogo campaign, you can order your very own copy, and it will show up in the mail in October when it comes out, October 10th. And if you really can't wait, you can order an advanced copy, which will come early next month.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna put that link right on there. So if anybody wants to pre-order the book,
Fantastic.
You can do that. I have questions galore from people on Facebook, so we're gonna quickly kind of I'm gonna quickly get this. So the first one is Rachel, one of our good friends, wants to know if you have had contact with Rhoda.
I have. One of the ghost lore about Rhoda is that when she was alive, she was a big fan of chewing tobacco. She picked up the habit in her teens, and if she knew that you had chewing tobacco in your pocket, she would kind of crab along the floor. She could no longer walk, but she had to crawl, but she would crab along the floor until she got to you, and then she'd tug on your pants leg in order to ask for a chaw of tobacco. So the lore is that if you feel it tugging on your pants leg and you smell chewing tobacco, that's Rhoda trying to make contact with you. So I was at the Pollock Hospital a couple years ago and escorting a group around, and we were in the women's ward of the TB hospital. And it was kind of a slow night, not much going on. So to pass the time, I told Rhoda's story. And a few minutes after that, we decided to rejoin the rest of the group. And as we were walking out of the women's ward, every single one of us smelled chewing tobacco.
Mm.
So that was a neat little brush with Rhoda. And the three ghost hunting groups that were there earlier this month, 2 of the women had personal experiences with Rhoda. And they were kind enough to share them with me, and I was so glad that they did that before the book went to press, because their 2 stories are included in the book. They both had personal experiences with her, and get the book, read the stories. They're really astounding. I got some insight into Rhoda's personality by listening to these stories. So I highly recommend you check it out.
Awesome. I know that Joe wants to know if this book would be available on Amazon.
Yes, it will be. October 10th is the release date, and it will definitely be available on Amazon.
Awesome.
And I'm going to make it into an ebook too, so it will be available for Kindle.
Awesome. Rachel also wants to know, what is the most difficult thing about ghost hunting?
Oh, not being bored when nothing happens. Not being bored when nothing is going on, and trying to think of new and interesting questions to ask besides, do you need help and do you know what year it is?
Mm-hmm.
That and generally being quiet.
Yeah. The other question is are you worried about bringing spirits home with you?
I get asked that a lot, and quite honestly, I'm about as sensitive as a dining room table. If something followed me home, I doubt that I would notice it. Somebody could be walking around behind me carrying their own severed head, and I wouldn't notice. So I really think that if something followed me home, it would leave after a couple of weeks just because it would be bored. But I have been told, and I shared the story earlier about talking with Brandon at that particular meeting, at that presentation that I did. While I was sitting watching his films, I was sitting next to somebody who I struck up a conversation, and she turned out to be a very powerful medium. And she is a ghost hunter too, and the way she knew that she was going to be on an investigation that Saturday night was somebody would come to her on Thursday and say, hey, this is what I want you to know about me before you go into my house looking for me. And the spirits would contact her. Really, really powerful. And she was kind enough to tell me that there is a nurse from the Peoria State Hospital that shows up whenever I do a presentation. Mm-hmm. And I have had confirmation of this from other people in the audience at different places and different times. They're like, yeah, there's somebody standing behind you. Or there's a little flutter of light off to your side while you're talking. So, yeah, there is somebody that follows me around, especially when I talk about the Peoria State Hospital. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. And the last question is have you ever brought a medium with you to try and contact Rhoda that way?
I was very grateful to find out that the mediums did have contact with Rhoda. It's not something that I asked about. It's something that it was so much going on that weekend that it kind of honestly slipped my mind. So I'm really grateful that Rhoda made her presence known to these mediums and that they shared their stories with me. But I just never asked, hey, can you make contact with Rhoda for me? It just never occurred to me. So I'm just really grateful that they did share their stories with me. Awesome. And I'm always happy that they do.
Yes. Yep.
Because Rhoda's my girl. She's become like a family member to me after all this time thinking about her story and thinking about her fate.
90 really seconds.
She's more than a spirit to me. She's kind of a family member. I know that sounds silly, but it's true.
No, yeah, it can happen, I guess. Yeah. It hasn't happened to me, but yeah. So for everyone watching online, which you should already know, that the book is called 44 Years in Darkness. Do I add a true story of madness, tragedy, and shattered love? Is that also part of the title?
60 seconds.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's basically 44 Years in Darkness, and
okay.
If people want the whole title, then yes, that's the subtitle.
Okay.
True story of madness, tragedy, and shattered love. I just love that. Yeah. It was my husband that came up with the 44 Years in Darkness part. Yeah, I was just going to call it Shattered Love, but he came up with a much better, a much more badass title.
I agree with him. That's really a good title for it.
It's not the first time he's helped her. It's not the first time. He has a knack for
this
stuff.
He also came up with the title for Fractured Spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is my go-to guy whenever I need a slamming title.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do is put the link
10
up.
seconds.
Oh, shut up. what I'm going to do is put the link up for people to pre-order the book. So it's on Indiegogo.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Because I've already backed it. You guys should back it too if you're interested in the book. And then it comes out October 10th, so it'll be available on Amazon and all that good stuff.
And,
so,
yes. For the privilege of asking complete strangers for money, I will tell you that when you back this book, the money that you pay to get a pre-order copy of the book is also going to help me order more copies and send them to people that are influential in the field of mental health. People like Glenn Close. I would really like to get a lot of buzz going about this book. Kitty Dukakis, other people that will be influential about this. And I'm also trying to get it to go mainstream. I'd like to send a copy to NPR, try to get on one of their shows. I'd love to be on the Diane Lane show. But anyway, that is where your pennies are going, is to help spread the word about this incredible, amazing story. So I really appreciate you backing me and pre-ordering a copy of this book.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that you were able to come on.
Thank you for asking me.
Yes.
Yes, very much.
And I'm definitely going to have you on again when the book comes out, so be prepared for that.
And next time, Sherri should be there to do this.
Yes. Sherri will be there. So October. I can't wait.
Thank you. Neither can I. I'm really getting excited about it now. Now that it's done and dusted and sent off to the publisher, now I'm really getting excited.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my copy. So that's all I'm waiting for. So
thank you.
So yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
You will definitely have it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for coming on. Like I said, and we'll be talking to you again pretty soon. And
absolutely.
That's pretty much it. That is the end of the show.
Well, tell Sherri hi for me and tell her congratulations.
I will. I will definitely do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. And Daniel, it was wonderful meeting you.
It's wonderful meeting you. I'm glad you were here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Any last words?
All right. Well, I have been told that there are s'mores around the campfire, so.
Ooh. You need s'mores.
So as soon as I get off the phone with you, I am going to wander down and see about s'mores.
Find some cheesecake. It's National Cheesecake Day, so add that to it.
It is National Cheesecake Day. Yeah.
All right. Well. Go get yourself some s'mores. I'm going to end the show so I can go have some ice cream. And, yeah. So, all right, everyone. Don't forget, I'll be posting the Indiegogo for the book on our website. Website and our Facebook page. So make sure you check it out. And the book comes out October 10th. So, and we're going to talk about it again then, and I can't wait. So... yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't have Sherri here to really end the show, so any last words, Dan?
Just remember Rudolph's family in your prayers, people. It was a terrible tragedy.
Yes, that news report was just awful, so...
in more ways than one.
Yeah, right? So...
dance, have cheesecake, and go hug your father-in-law if you have one.
All right, everyone. Well, have a great rest of the weekend, and we will talk to everyone Friday. So there's no show Saturday, so just keep that in mind. Me and Sherri will be kind of busy somewhere on the beach. So, yeah. So, and thanks again, Sylvia.
Thank you, Brian. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Thanks a lot for listening to this episode of The Brian and Sherri Show with your hosts, Brian and Sherri, online at BrianSherriShow.com and on Facebook.com/Brian.SherriShow. See you on the next episode of The Brian and Sherri Show.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
So just to let you know, I am still alive, because you know that I do that for at least another 15 minutes. So I kind of call it over. Yes, no, Wendy, I'm sorry, but there is no show. There'll be a live Facebook video show, kind of, but there won't be a radio show, just to let you know. But anyways, you know that I stick around for another 15 minutes anyways. Call it after the show, so if anybody has any questions or comments or whatever. So, yeah, Sylvia likes to talk. That's what she does. So she feels very passionate about her work and her books, and I'm glad that she's able to talk as much as she does. So it makes my job a whole lot easier, just sitting here and listening. So, yeah.
And I kind of helped by taking over when I didn't think I could.
Yeah, see? I told you, when you have questions, you just got to get in there and you just got to ask. And, yeah, it was great questions, and did a great job, so... But yeah, so no, next Saturday, Sherri and I will be in Misquamicut Beach, taking up the sun. Not too much, but yeah, we're going to spend a day down there and with our entourage of people. So, yeah. Most of you I will see tomorrow. Wendy, Rachel, Jennifer, I will see you all tomorrow. I'm not sure who else. Hello to Karen, drinking at the bar. No, unfortunately, I don't drink, so no. Well, wine, but I'm not going to be drinking at the bar. So.
You're going to get any live footage from the wedding to show off on here?
No.
Oh.
No media is allowed. So.
That sounds like Sherri.
Yes. Actually, I made that rule myself, so no. We're off tomorrow, so. And don't forget, folks, this is who's been co-hosting today. This is Daniel Payton's book, Legacy of Dragonwand. I got my own copy. Look at that. Oop, my hands are wet.
Very special copy, because it's signed by yours truly.
Signed. Look at that. So make sure you go on Amazon and buy this, or Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. Get yourself a copy. What?
If you're anybody who's anywhere near Nashville, on October 14th, 15th, and 16th, I'm going to be representing my book with other books from my publisher in the Nashville Book Fair. So it's an outdoor big book fair event. It's free to go to. And so all because of media people, several of them are going to be there to show off.
Is this backwards? This is
apparently the video on Facebook is a mirrored effect of the actual footage, so you are seeing a reversed version of the book. So just to look at it and turn your head around.
Oh my God, it is backwards, because I can see it in the Skype video too. It's backwards. That's weird. Oh, that's too bad. Well, anyways, it says Daniel Payton, Legacy of Dragonwand. That's what it says.
It's a lovely cover, no matter how you look at it.
Book number 1, because it's a trilogy, so...
Yes.
More to come. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. All on their way.
So, yeah. Are you working on anything else?
Right now, I am actually doing a rewrite of an opening scene for a book. My publisher has decided to pick up a series of stories I call Bark, which is a superhero story.
Yep.
And there's 4 stories within the book. They're short stories. They all make up one long legacy. And the first one I wrote was really short and cut up, and so I'm expanding on it. And I actually showed you a snippet from it yesterday, because you and Sherri make a cameo in the book as a news reporter and an on-the-scene reporter, and I think and one of the funniest scenes in the book too, because you're all dealing with the crazies who are going through the mass hysteria of fear. So
did everyone hear that? Did everyone hear that? Sherri and I are in his next book.
They don't die, and they're not bad people.
Exactly. So just a cameo. So
yes,
cameo means once.
Yes, but if we film this, I will get you and Sherri to do the one scene, so you can be on the field talking to the crazies, and she can be in the newsroom talking to you. So if we film this, you'll be in the movie.
I'm going to be in a movie. Oh my goodness. Well, there we go. Yes, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious because when you sent it to me, I was watching. What the hell was I watching? I think I was watching the Discovery Channel or something. And your message popped up, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Is he talking to somebody? Or like, and then I just kind of kept reading, and I'm like, oh, okay. What is this? And that's when I got your other message. This is, part of the book or whatever. It's rough draft or whatever you said. So I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I'm in an author's book.
Well, to set it up for you a bit, the opening story is how this man gets turned into Bark, the superhero. Mm-hmm. And so the story, he's half dog, half man, and at this point he's lost his memory. He has no voice. That's why he's called Bark. He can only bark. So he's just weird, but his mind isn't bad. He's not a bad guy. But people see him and assume the worst, and so hysteria breaks out, and people in the small town start saying the craziest things, that he's gotten their daughter pregnant, he's stolen a car, he's the Antichrist. I mean, he's everything. Mass hysteria goes crazy. So the scene, I decided to write it funny. And I wanted to do a news report. And so I needed a news anchor in the room, and I needed a reporter on the scene to be talking with these loonies. And so Sherri's in the newsroom, and Brian's on the field. And I thought that would be fun.
Yeah.
So they get to have the fun scene.
I'm just wondering, so how did you even come up with the idea of Sherri where she was and me where I was? Why not the other way around? Like, did you think of that, or like just?
No, I just kind of went with it. I saw a woman at a news desk and a man on the field. That was just kind of how it went. So
okay.
that just the scene seemed to flow that direction.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think honestly, you'd give the best facial expressions to the people saying the crazy stuff to you, and while you're trying to control the eye roll, the scoff, the laugh in their face, you're trying to be professional reporter while this guy is talking to you about how this guy ate all his animal feed, and you're like, oh, really? I just perceived that you would have the funnier reaction, so I needed that on the field.
It's true. I was reading it and I'm just like, oh my God, what is this guy trying to say? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so. And speaking of mentions in books, I believe our show has been mentioned in Sylvia Schultz's book, because we've talked about this whole thing so many times. So I think she gave me an honorable mention. I'm not sure, which is pretty cool. So, and now people know why I do shows, because I'm getting famous, people.
Hey, look, Heather says she needs a shirt. She's got a birthday coming up. She needs a hoodie. Brian and Sherri on it.
That is my sister, and she lives in Florida, so I'm not mailing her anything. This is an old sweatshirt. This is old because it still has Brian and Sherri Show.info. That website does not exist anymore. So I just wear it because it's very soft, and because it's actually raining out, so it's cooled down. So it's actually a little cool in here.
With the right kind of embroidery, you can fix that.
I probably could.
If anybody didn't know, I'm actually a 27-year veteran embroiderer.
Yeah, I probably could. I paid a lot of money for this damn thing. Because we have a person at one of our malls that actually makes all of our t-shirts. And actually, Rachel was one of the winners, because we did a contest one time. And Rachel and Jennifer actually won the contest, and we did t-shirts for the first time. And I believe might have been a different logo than this right here, because this is our new one. But, and me and Sherri signed the t-shirts, and I mailed them out. I paid for that postage, by the way. So yeah, we should do that again though, because it's fun. I like t-shirts, and I love hoodies. I own a lot of hoodies. So Sherri doesn't even have a hoodie. She wants one too. So yeah, so we're gonna have to do another contest. I'm just wondering if Rachel and Jen are still there, and if they still have their t-shirts, because I know that they did. I know Rachel posted a selfie of her wearing the shirt, which was pretty cool. I think this was last year or something. But anyways, so that's pretty much it. So like I said, there's a show Friday. So don't be surprised if I elicit your help once again, Daniel, because she is refusing to do the show because it is her honeymoon and she shouldn't have to do a show.
That's actually a pretty good reason.
It is, but I still wanted to do the show because we're going to be talking to... I'm not sure if you know who he is, or because you guys are in the same Cosby media, whatever, family. It's Chris...
Pascarella?
Yes. We've already had him on... We've had him on the show before, but he wanted to come on again, so I booked him because I didn't have anybody for Friday. So I'm like, well, I can do Friday, but I can't do Saturday. And she's like, I ain't doing it. Which I don't
Chris
blame her.
Chris is actually the author that introduced me to Braxton Cosby, that got me into Cosby Media. So I've known Chris since before I was in Cosby Media.
Oh, perfect.
So,
see, well, I might. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. She says she might or whatever. The thing is that if I tell her that she doesn't have to, she won't.
Well, if you give me forewarning, I'll set up some more. I'll make sure we have some more news to report on, and we'll have the holidays prepared. I might even bake a cheesecake. I don't know, depending on what the day of the month is.
Well, it's not going to help me any. So.
It's a camera, you can at least see it.
Yes, I can see it. So, hi, Rachel. Welcome back. Rachel, do you still have your shirt that you won? Which is funny because I didn't even know Rachel was related to Sherri, so at the time I didn't. And Jennifer is too. I didn't know that either. So, but yeah, anyways. Yes, she does. Of course she does. It's hanging, it's framed, it's up on her living room wall. That's where it is. So, but anyways. Alright, everyone, I have to go because you wore it yesterday. Why would you wear it yesterday?
Advertising.
Well, yeah, okay. I just don't want it to wear out.
It's a limited edition.
It is a limited edition because it was the only two made. That's it. Because Sherri and I had different ones when we made ours. So.
Don't you have like Cafe Press site with some of this on it?
I do. I have a lot of I have a lot of Cafe Press stuff.
So you can order more. You're just.
Well, I have ordered one of those shirts because I like polo shirts with collars and stuff. So it was like a golf tee or something like that. I had one, but unfortunately I ruined it. So, but yeah. All right, so everyone, thank you so much for watching this show. And I know that Sylvia likes to talk, but that's a good thing. It really is. So, oh, good. My autograph is still on it. See, it's worth something. $5. And make sure you listen to our show Friday. Remember, no show Saturday. So, but look out for the Facebook video because when we're at Misquamicut Beach, we will be doing a live Facebook video, not a show, but just to check in with people. So, I have to get up in the morning because I have a wedding to go to tomorrow. So.
I have to get the morning because I have to be in church by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I gotta get up there. So I will meet Rachel and Jennifer and the mother Wendy for the first time tomorrow. So this should be interesting. So I can't wait to meet all you people. I will be late. So you may not even meet me. All right, everyone. So have a great night, and I will see some of you tomorrow, and we will talk to you all next week. And that's pretty much it. So
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Yes.
I enjoyed it.
Yes. All right. Goodbye.